Perfect. So now we should be live streaming out on LinkedIn. Mac, before we jump in, how was your summer? September, August break is over. Highlights?
Stop.
No?
Why would you start with that?
So
Why
we
would you
start
start with
low
the
and then
fact
we
that
hit the
time
highs.
marches on and all that we can guarantee in life is that we will eventually die? That's how we're starting this Friday.
It's memento mori. I'm just keeping you human. That's all
The
I'm
end
here
is
for.
nigh, and we've chosen to work in B2B because it's such an important mission in life.
I did. I tell you what, though, that does bring us to that LinkedIn post that I saw you comment on the other day, which I really liked. Was it two types of founders or two types of people in B2B SaaS? The people that like.
I wrote that post. I didn't just.
Amazing. What?
I
Walk me
wrote
through
that.
it.
What are you talking about?
I loved it. What was the post again?
It was just like a casual observation I've had in. It was like, I mean, I've been a founder for 13 years, but I've really only gotten involved in like what I would call the tech world, the traditional startup tech ecosystem in the last 5 years. And of course, this is a gross generalization, as statements like this tend to be. But I feel like there's two kinds of people that I meet in tech. There's folks who see tech as almost like they have like a savior complex. They're like, tech will solve all problems in the world. Tech is incredible. Tech shouldn't be taxed. The government should let tech run in the world. Yada yada yada. Like, and they want to live in tech. They want their Apple Vision Pros on their plane. Like, they never want to be away from a screen. They think they would inject a freaking implant in their brain to control their computer if that became available, right? Like, they want Ready Player One to be a reality. And then there's the group that are, and that's like the very I think that's very typical of like the classic Silicon Valley stereotype, right? Which of course exists outside of Silicon Valley. But then the second type is the one who's like sees tech as just like a tool or like a means to an end. And like in a way, you know, it's like I feel like I've met so many folks working in tech who are like, I work in tech, so one day I can retire on a farm and never look at a screen again, right? And it's like, it also reminds me of the fact that I forget the name of the school, but there's like a private school in San Francisco that like a lot of the, you know, the wealthy tech founders send their kids to, and it doesn't allow kids to have screens. So it's like the people who are like shoving algorithms and screens in our face to make billions don't let their own kids have screens. Like, I don't know if that doesn't make you feel like you should be in bucket number 2 of that persona type. I don't know what else will. So that was the gist.
I love it. And do you think you transitioned over the years from being someone who was, I want tech everywhere, to being, I just want to be on a farm somewhere, or were you always one?
I don't think I was ever, I mean, like I was never really like deeply involved in the tech world in that way. I think I was like a tech enthusiast is what I would describe it. I was you know, I watched the YouTube channels of like the latest tech, the new computer stuff. I always found it like it's interesting, you know, follow along, see what's going on. But I don't think I was ever in the hardcore like tech will solve every problem. You know, I want to live and breathe it. I think I was probably more on that side of the spectrum 10 years ago. Less so now. And someone commented on that post with a good point saying that like you have to spend some time in bucket 1 to have the ability to be in bucket 2. And I was like, it's probably quite a lot of truth in that. And there's almost a way like the more you're in tech, the more you see how the sausage is made, the more you find yourself becoming bucket number 2.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I feel it in kind of also just the lifestyle I grew up in, what I then pined for, and now what I can't wait to return to. I grew up in the countryside, you know, with a garden, with no pavement to get to the nearest town. And I was like, my God, I can't wait to be in just a mix of things. Went to college in London, lived in London for 10 years, still live in a city. And now I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to have a garden. And you're like, I was trying to get away from that life. And now I'm old and I'm like, oh man, I want that life back. So,
and now I'm old. You're not even that old. Come on, man. Give yourself some credit.
That's true. Now I'm older. Well, now what's strange is, and this leads on to the next thing of like, I always have to remember, like, wait, am I millennial? Is that the one I fall in? And then you look up like, wait, what is Gen X? And you just feel really old when you go like, wait, what is the group that's younger than me? What do they call themselves? And it's
Gen
just
Z. Gen X is the group older than us.
That's older than us. And then older than that is boomers.
So millennials are Gen Y, but usually said millennial. It goes X, Y, Z. So it goes Gen X, millennials, Gen Z. And then it's the one after Gen Z is Gen Alpha. So it goes back to the beginning of the alphabet, I guess, is what they've decided.
But why do we start with X? Just sounded cool. X-Men era.
There's got to be. I'm going to find out right now. I'm going to tell you right now. Why is it called Generation X? Generation X was. Oh, it was just. Interesting. So a desire to not be defined, right? Because Gen X is sort of like the hippie generation.
Right.
So is Gen X as in like the variable, as in like they have no label. They are just X, insert whatever they want to be. And then naturally the next one became Y, the next one became Z, but it wasn't because they were trying to make the alphabet.
Fantastic. So the lack of label became the label, and there we are.
Yeah. It's how like it makes me think of like, I remember like hipsters were a thing. I mean, there probably are still, but like it was like, I feel like as soon as you are a hipster, you're no longer a hipster because now you've been defined as a group. So it's like hipsters by definition are a paradox.
Yes.
Anyways, and we're so far off the topic of B2B go to market now. We're talking about the paradox of hipsters and social culture.
The jumping off point there was millennial, which brings me back to the point I wanted to talk about, which is kind of in the name of this this session as well. So around the short videos on LinkedIn and what we're seeing. I was really annoyed after I created the event on LinkedIn. I realized I could have called this real impressions, real impressions ? As to, and I was fuming that I missed out on that.
The title
I could, but once you've missed the chance, you missed the chance. So you don't try and rewrite history is my approach.
I don't know. I mean, like, if you had just done that and not said anything, would anybody have known?
I would have known, Mac, and that's all that matters.
You wouldn't. Your integrity wouldn't let you.
No, absolutely not. Not when it comes to LinkedIn-based humor. You have to do it live, or it's gone.
And everyone knows that everyone on LinkedIn is of high integrity, right? There's no bullshit there. There's no one selling you something that they get paid for.
Well, here we go on the integrity of data. We've been doing a lot of short form reels. If people don't know what I'm talking about kind of the vertical videos that you're now seeing on LinkedIn that you traditionally would associate with TikTok, Instagram, and even YouTube, kind of dabbling into that now as well. It's really interesting to see, like, it feels like LinkedIn is pushing them. Before we dive into the data around that, like, why do you think LinkedIn would want to push this form of media on the platform?
Do you want the short version or the long version?
The middle version.
Okay. I think people somehow forget that LinkedIn is it's a social media company. Like, yes, it's a very different social media company than a lot of social media companies. But at the end of the day, they make money by keeping your eyeballs on the platform, right? Now, they just happen to be a social media platform with a professional audience that can make money in other ways. But I said this like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So it was like, I want to say it was the Microsoft earnings call. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 18 months ago. And it was the first time that LinkedIn Recruiter as a product had not grown year over year. Part of that, I think, was like pandemic, hiring slowing down, that a lot of stuff changed, right? 18 months ago, there's like this weird blip in time. And I remember saying something back then that was like, if LinkedIn never really seemed to focus on the social media aspect of their platform. Yeah. I said, hey, that's because they were fucking printing money on Sales Nav and on recruiter licenses. But as soon as that stopped growing, they got to keep finding ways to grow. They were going to come in and figure out, how do we get more ad eyeballs, more impressions? Like, they got to grow the other parts of the business if the original part isn't printing money as quickly as they would have liked. And that's pretty much what they've done for the last 18 months, right? A lot, like nobody's seeing huge improvements to Sales Nav or to Recruiter. It's been improvements to the ad product. And if the ad product's improving and they're trying to make more money there, well, they need more eyeballs on the platform because that's how the ad product makes money. And short form content is designed to keep your eyes on the platform.
I think that makes it's a perfect answer.
A long version, but
No, I agree with your timeline as well. Having been someone who's kind of using LinkedIn quite a lot, it was about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, where you could start to change, connect with me to follow me. So
Yeah.
kind of that nod towards, look, actually, we're not just for you to manage your business connections. There is a way for people to track what you do while not saying they know
Yeah,
you.
they launched creator mode like 18 months ago as well.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years now. But
I think a big part of this that I think is quite easy to not notice with the passing of time is like a big factor in tech is just the threshold for entry or threshold for doing things is always dropping. So when Instagram came out, it was all static pictures because hey, everyone now had phones with cameras. And over time, being able to record video and not run out of space, being able to edit it on your phone, being able to change it as you wish has led to those social media platforms being more and more video. And I think we're just seeing that on LinkedIn. You know, it was text post, then it was picture post because actually it's easy to do. And now we're just seeing that actually, if you want to create video content, look, it's still gonna cost you some dollars. I'm not saying it's going to be totally free, but you know, with a ring light and an iPhone, you could put out business content on LinkedIn. And so I think it's partly LinkedIn.
LinkedIn doesn't give a shit anymore.
It's true, as long as it gets eyeballs. I suppose the thing there with how many people would follow you for non-business content, people maybe, this is just me thinking, like people maybe are like, okay, there's a couple of people I follow for fun, but I still want to keep my timeline business oriented.
I feel like based on what I read on LinkedIn, I would say people are pretty 50-50 split on their opinion of that. Like you get some folks being like, stop with the fucking selfies. I don't want to see your stupid fucking face on your LinkedIn post. Right? He seems like very, and these people being like, hey, LinkedIn is just about people. So it's just going to be about people, right? You get very differing opinions. And then you have like, I think a few folks in the middle who are like, if I don't like your content, I'm just going to unfollow you. I don't, that's doesn't fucking matter, right? People also forget, like, you can curate your feed. Like you choose what shows up there to an extent, right? Like if you don't like what Christian's posting, just unfollow him. Problem solved.
You're spot on. And it does feel when it comes to the feed that what LinkedIn is really pushing at the moment is these short form videos. So I've got a few people's experiences as well. So let me just share my screen, see if that comes up. Beautiful. I'm going to need to zoom in more, aren't I?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be too. Is that good or is that too much?
That's perfect, I think. I don't know.
Beautiful.
Last audience, all 3 people watching.
So we got Joshua here first. Love that he's got the dino in the name. But yeah, seeing a massive spike in impressions using the new Reels feature. But what's interesting for him, he has actually seen an increase in follower count as well, an increase of profile visits, increase on web traffic. So while we're seeing a huge jump in terms of impressions, it does seem like there is actually kind of follow-on data to that. It's not just impression kind of pumping.
Okay. I will say though, I've seen similar follower counts have gone up. I've definitely seen an increase in followers and connection requests from what I would consider bad fit.
Yeah, fair.
Right? It's like, I think that at the end of the day, I think everybody's freaking out over short form video and everyone's just like, numbers, big numbers, woo, let's go. And it's like, okay, but like, what do those numbers mean? Like, peel the curtain back a little bit. It's like numbers for the sake of numbers are fucking pointless.
Yeah. But not just pointless, they're detrimental, because when you start just chasing top of funnel number without understanding what it's meant to mean in the funnel, you're actually bringing the wrong type of people into the funnel.
It's like in sales and someone goes like, I booked 100 meetings. How many closed? Like, I booked 100 meetings. Like, but how many bought from you? Without that second half of the equation, it doesn't mean anything.
And also, oh no, actually, some of them did buy for you. Now I'm worried about how much work it's going to be to keep them because they're probably bad fit. So no matter which direction they go from the funnel, it's not good news. We've then got Tycho seeing similar, but it's similar to what you've experienced, Mac, and we'll come on to that. 423,000 impressions, 236 likes. Like, so it does make you wonder, like, where are these impressions coming from? Like, do you think it's as you're scrolling on your feed, they're just counting that?
So I think, have you looked? So like, if you look at it, they have impression. There's actually there's 5 data points on videos. And And I'll put my last video here just as so I can have live numbers. And I think you have my post queued up next, maybe.
I don't actually. I was wondering if you wanted to share your
I'll just share the numbers while you have the screen up here. Oh yeah, I can share my screen. Let's
yeah. Hang on, if I stop screen share and you jump on.
So my last video, which was about Legos, it was like a dumb video, objectively. Like, of all the videos I've made from perspective of like, I guess, yeah, maybe it's entertaining, right? But like from a bit, I guess it goes back to your thing of like people only care about business value on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
This video probably has the least amount of business value of any video I've made in the last 3 months on LinkedIn. It is by far the best performing thing I've ever posted. If we just look at impressions. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Yeah. Okay. So here's the post. I think you can see it now. Look, this is like,
yeah. Zoom in first.
Look at LinkedIn picking the perfect, weird, awkward moment to like. Thank you. But like, okay, just 100, like only 134 engagements, 3.2 million. Bullshit. Just straight up bullshit, right? And everyone's just looking at that number and getting excited about it. But I think if you click on view analytics and go a little deeper, nobody seems to be posting from this page, if it'll load. They're all posting just like, look, I got a fuck ton of views. It's like, no, those aren't views. Those are impressions, right? Which I think if you look at how, like, if you open the LinkedIn mobile app now, at least for me, it'll just have 2 or 3 videos at the top. And then I got to scroll back and then it'll start playing. And I'm pretty sure that counts as an impression. Like if it was just there in the feed. So, okay, 1.8 million unique views. Okay, so 3 million impressions, but like almost cut it in half to uniques right out the gate. And then you look down here. Oh, there's a completely different view number, right?
Yeah.
And once again, I don't know what they're counting as views. I know YouTube, I think, counts it as a view if you watch at least 10 or 15 seconds. I don't know if LinkedIn is 1 second, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. They don't really tell. Actually, let's see. If I hover over that, do they tell you? 2 seconds. So we watch it for more than 2 seconds. Like, okay, would you call 2 seconds a view? I don't know. And then 38,000 minutes watched. It's about a minute-long video. So really, 30,000 people, give or take, watched the whole thing, which is still like, that's a lot of people still. But this is a much more down-to-earth number than 3 million.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think one of the factors people need to think about as well is what counts as a view on the different types of media. So on a text post, I think it's only if they click on the read more or show more button to go past those 5 lines at the top.
An impression is just scrolling past it. A view is clicking on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, if the video is auto playing at the top, because that when you open the mobile app, there you go. But yeah, I wonder, is this the move more towards the mobile app? It's interesting because I don't see, I mean, watching shorts on Instagram and YouTube, you're just killing time usually. And unfortunately, then you're killing more time than you perhaps meant to kill. But with LinkedIn, I wonder whether in a year they'll change tack around this. I'm not sure.
It kind of, I don't know. I think there's 2 things that this makes me think of. One, it makes me think of when Elon took over Twitter and tried to make Twitter into a video platform, and then he Mr. Beast did a video there to see yeah, if it works, I'll post videos here. And it was like, holy shit, he got 400 million views, and it was like, and I can't remember exactly what, but Mr. Beast proved that it was bullshit. Elon was
the money compared to what he made on YouTube.
Trying to get people to come post there, right? It's like a little bit of a chicken and egg problem. I think there's a little bit of that happening here. I do think, what's the word I'm looking for? The other example, and I totally just forgot it. Well, couldn't have been that great.
Anything else to add on this topic? Otherwise, we'll move on to the second one.
Yeah. So I remember this from a few years ago. Some TikTok influencer who had 2 million followers, 1 billion real watches, whatever, tried to launch a clothing line. Yeah. She sold 42 shirts. I think short form video, you see a lot of content creators from TikTok, they try to make the jump to YouTube. because TikTok is great for discoverability, awful for building an engaged audience. YouTube is where the real money is, where the real, like, people who watch your YouTube videos, they'll buy shit from you. People who watch your TikToks or your reels, that's just a random person who's sitting on the toilet, sitting on the train going to work, just like mind-numbingly doing this, and like they don't give a fuck what you're selling them. It's just time wasting.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's funny. I was watching a YouTube video yesterday that matches that perfectly. It's like an American couple that have been posting videos for years. They were doing there's a 200-kilometer hike you do in the Netherlands over 4 days, so 50 kilometers a day. And in their video, like, you know, these are people from America that have flown over just for this. I think 10 or 15 times in their video, they showed locals who had made signs cheering them on. And these are Dutch people who have been following this American couple, saw they were going to be hiking near them. And then at the last point, there was even a couple who had set up like an ice bucket with drinks just for this American couple. Like, the loyalty was next level. And those people launch a t-shirt, a book, a course, the fans are going to pick it up.
Yep.
Super interesting. Anything to add? Otherwise, on to the next topic.
I just say, I still think I'm a big believer in video. I think video as a format is more reusable from platform to platform. It's more human. It's get your personality across. I just think people are a little too obsessed with numbers and not like, I need to be honest with you. Are you posting for value or for views, right? It's like you get that little dopamine hit of like, yes. And then you're like, wait, what is the purpose of this? Like I don't know. There's not a right or a wrong. Like, if you're posting for the dopamine and the views, like, power to you, have at it. Right. But like, that's not why I'm doing it. Listen, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I would never post on LinkedIn again in the day of my life, right? Like, I post on LinkedIn because it's good for business. Yes, I meet great people there. Yes, I find good content there. I don't post on LinkedIn because I enjoy it. Let's like really be honest here.
Yeah, it's fair. And I know some LinkedIn people with 100,000 followers that have tried to launch courses and stuff and been like, there's just the funnel doesn't work. So you do need to be doing it for the right reasons, tracking the right metrics, because you can otherwise just get fixed on the wrong thing. And it's not your reason of existing. Whether it's LinkedIn or any platform, number of followers is not the key thing. I do love, though, Ben in the comments has exactly nailed which YouTube channel I was talking about, which shows how loyal their fans are when I didn't even say what channel it was, and he knew just based on the description.
That's the way it goes. Hey, also, by the way, congrats. You just won a deal. I just saw it come through in Slack. So, you know.
There you go. That was
nice
the
little
deal.
Friday surprise.
Thank you very much. That was well, there we go. That was yesterday. That call happened, and that call took 23 minutes, and they've now signed up and paid. So, I mean, later on, we're going to talk about our go-to-market strategy, what we've been learning. But I think it's going in the right direction. Would be the note.
Yeah, I love those one-call closes. It's like, you know, it's the way to do it.
It's super rewarding because, like, I use this metaphor a lot for like any skill or anything, but it's you're creating a statue whenever you're working on something. Like, you're not starting with clay, you're starting with marble. You're not starting from nothing.
Hey, but some people in GTM are starting with clay.
That's very true. Damn it, I need to come up with a different metaphor. You're not starting with watercolor, you're starting with marble.
All right, someone quickly start an AI GTM tool called watercolor.ai. just so Christian can't use that. Go.
You're using a different art form. I'll be non-art form specific, medium agnostic. But my point is, like, the answer sits within the marble, and you're chipping away. And there's some days where you're taking tiny little bits off, and there's some where you're able to take a huge chunk, and what was always inside the marble becomes more clear. And it's so much fun at early stage doing calls and realizing, oh, this is resonating. Oh, you're the third person who's said that back to me this week. Like, it's just been really, really fun. And I think we're seeing that fruit really come into bloom.
Yeah.
So this will perfectly transition us. We are creating champions when we're making these deals. And there's a lot of software out there now to help you track champions moves us on to point number 2. I have to say, and this is, I'm not trying to put any shade on Champify. I'm sure they're very good. I remembered there were 2 companies that do this as their main product. And I remembered User Gems was one of them. And I was like, what's the other one? Well, I literally could even remember the face of the CEO from seeing him post on LinkedIn, but I could not remember the name of the company. I Googled User Gems competitor. First 2 pages, they didn't come up at all. I had to go G2 User Gems competitors. Champify was the company. And I was like, how bad is the SEO that wasn't coming to the front? So Champify, if you're listening, do something about that. For me, you are equal as User Gems. But when I was trying to do the research, I wouldn't have found you if I was a new buyer coming to this. But SEO is not the point of this topic. For me, we've been trying out Unify recently, been really pleased with it. Looks very exciting in terms of being able to do some signal-based, kind of outbound signal-based appropriate messaging. And they just, in there as a feature, have champion tracking. Like, kind of blasé, like, oh yeah, and we've also got this. Not the reason we exist, not the reason you bought us, but we now do this too. And it was just a bit of a like, oh, this feels like it's becoming a commodity. I've got more thoughts on this, but Mac, I want to hear yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just like the natural progression of software, right? Products become features become commodities, and the whole cycle repeats itself, right? It's I think of like dedicated email warm up tools. It's just like features and outreach tools, right? It's like, or we look at Gong and Outreach and all these companies that are just like becoming the same. I think it's just the natural progression of just the way things go, right? Like somebody builds it as their product and proves there's demand for it. Then you have 2 or 3 competitors pop up, and then from there it becomes a feature.
Yeah. And it's particularly true when the data isn't your own. When the data is publicly available, being able to build that feature, your competitors almost get second mover advantage, because they get to look at you, look at how you've done it, look at the features you tried and dropped, and then get to go get the public data and build the same thing. So, we're in this era now of signal-based selling, which is definitely a lot better than just completely cold outbound that has no idea what's going on. At least we're now saying they did this, therefore let's do this. But I do wonder whether, as those public signals become so readily available and become across all platforms, I change job and I'm going to get 10 messages from 10 sellers all saying, you used us at your last company, you probably love us, can we have a call? And it just, the curtain falls away.
To be fair, I think if there are genuinely 10 tools that you used at your last job that you had a good NPS score with, had a relationship with, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think there's a real big difference between a job change alert and a customer job change alert. Like there's the difference there is there's a relationship, right? It's not, I think it's like when you get those ones where like, oh, XYZ company is hiring a CMO. Let's all try to sell them CMO software, right? Like that I don't think is very helpful. I think the real, it's first party versus third party, essentially, right? First party implies the existence of some kind of relationship. And I'm using relationship very, very loosely there. Like first party could be they subscribe to your newsletter. Like, yeah, there is a relationship between your company and that person. It's not like a relationship like me and you, but there's whatever, a very light relationship. Versus like, ooh, the public data that someone looked at G2 category of call recording tools, like that's public data. And I still think that those signals can be really helpful for like account scoring. But I think the way I think about it is that third-party data should be used for like account scoring, essentially, right? Which is like, is this company a good fit for us? Oh, they're looking at G2, they're hiring their first SDR manager. Like these are whatever signals that matter to us, et cetera. But they should not be used in the signal should not be the message. I think as soon as it's I think it could be a great reason to reach out to them. Like, hey, I saw that Christian liked to post about warm intros. I should probably reach out to Christian and try to sell him our warm intro tool. But if I say, hey, Christian, I saw you like Scott Leese's post on warm, you're like, oh, fuck, sales email, delete,
Yeah.
right? It's like, because you're trying to like So I think it's just, I just don't think those third-party signals can be used as the message, right? I know I'm a bit away from the job change alert thing here, but I think the job change alert, it's very different when it's first party versus third party. And the way you should act on it is different when it's first party versus third party.
Yeah. All I can think now is I want a t-shirt that just has the signal is not the message, because I think that that perfectly sums it up. And you've described a huge amount of sales emails I receive. Hey, you did this behavior. And I'm like, yep. I knew that before I started reading this email.
Or
what
my
did I
favorite
have
is
to
like,
do?
you like Scott Lisa? It's like, yeah, because I know him. So I'm supporting his post. Like that, like, I think it's also like, I've said this in the past, but I think way too many people, they take signals and they just assume signal or intent data, as it gets called, always means intent to buy. That's the only way it ever gets interpreted. But it could be intent to support, intent to learn, intent to be curious. Like intent comes in lots of different shapes and sizes and forms. And I think really smart companies are getting better at like stringing multiple intent data together and building more of a complex map. But I still think a lot of companies are just like, oh, you visited my website, buy my shit. And it's like, yeah, because you clicked on my LinkedIn profile. And I was like, oh, what does this company do? Because like, I'm just a curious person. That doesn't mean shit about me being relevant to you, right? And then you also have to combine that with other stuff, right? Like I visited your website, but you sell to 200-person companies. We're a 13-person company. I obviously should not be reached out to based on that signal. Like the signal by itself is useless.
Yeah. I love it. I totally agree. I just want to go back to something you said earlier as well about, the signal is great, but it's the relationship as well. That's why actually the signal is useful, because now we can leverage the relationship, because that's why someone would actually want to use a product again. And I hope people using this champion tracking feature understand that even if it is a champion of your product and they've moved to a new company, if you had a CSM that they worked with, that they loved the CSM and your product, try and get the CSM to write that first email. Like ghostwrite it for them. Say, hey, can you jump on a 15-minute call with this person you used to work with? I mean, CSM that likes their customers in general. So be like, yeah, like it would be nice to catch up with them about their new role. And if you're a sales rep listening to this, if you take that first call, the buyer is going to tell you some information. If the CSM takes that first call, they will most likely tell the CSM what product they're using, how long they've been using it for, when the contract's up, how much they're paying, and then you can now start the deal with the AE. So the value of champion.
I was like, by the way, that relationship doesn't just apply to champions. I had a call yesterday with someone who's using a tool that's like sort of competitive to us, and I was just like, hey, someone I know, someone I built a relationship with over the last year, and I was just like, hey, I'd love to hear about your experience. And they told me everything. They told me, like I said, they told me what they're paying, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. And I was like, cool. I'm not trying to sell them right now, but it was great intel just to know.
Love it.
The relationship was there was no trigger there, actually. There was no signal. There was no job change alert, no champion alert. The relationship still got me that information. So I feel like it's like the relationship always trumps the signal. Now, relationship plus signal, great. Like the more, things you can add together, the better, right? Oh, so ICP fit plus relationship plus signal. Oh my God, you're golden, right? But like one of those by itself, like,
slight curveball here. I've not prepped you for this, but are there any features out there? Well, any something that's currently a product, without saying the company that makes the product, any products out there that you think are soon to be commoditized features? If we're seeing champion tracking going that way.
I think the website visitor thing is just like, it's gone
public data again. Yeah.
In 6 months, I can name 12 companies that are selling that as a product, and I can think of at least 2 or 3 that have added it as a feature in the last few months. It's just like, it's just a thing now.
And I think what's interesting is the speed at which something goes from product to feature feels like it's getting faster. Like you used to have a little bit more of a period.
I think there's a company. I think also, I think it's easier than ever to copy features, right? Like, and whatnot. So it's like, there's less of a barrier. Very, very, very few features actually have like actual network effects that make you better the longer you are the owner of them, right? Like think about user gems and Champify. Like I can imagine there's probably very little switching costs between those two, right? Which is once again, they're great products. I love their teams. Well, most of their teams. If you're listening, you know who you are. They're not listening because they fucking hate me too. So it's great. you can't see eye to eye with everyone. But they're fine. They're good products. But I just think that like it opens up like a race to the bottom. And I go back to like, one of the first episodes we ever did with Reveal versus Reveal versus Crossbeam. Right now they've merged. I think one of the concerns was like, I think they were eating each other's business too much because there wasn't enough of a competitive advantage. There's just like the only thing I could beat you on was like, okay, I'll go cheaper than Crossbeam. Then Crossbeam will go cheaper than Reveal. And it's like, right. And like most of them had problems with like giving too much away for free as a way to try to beat the other people. So I do think when it becomes so easy to copy features, it's just like, and then when the big platform ads, it's just a big race to the bottom, one way or the other at the end of the day.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, you saw that with Crossbeam and what did I forget the other one? Reveal, thank you. Where when VC money wasn't, sloshing around anymore, it was like, okay, we're best off merging, because if we're going to race to the bottom, neither of us will win because there's not another round of funding for the winner that's going to come. We're just going to have lots of customers who aren't paying enough for the product that they use. If we both die, neither of us can raise money. So let's actually stick together. Anything else you want to add on this?
No, I think signals are cool. I think they're interesting. I think they're overused and misused and abused. And it kind of feels like signals are going to be the next personalization, in my opinion, right? Personalization is super powerful 5 years ago. Now it's like, if everybody can personalize, like, is that the value kind of goes away, right? It's like, if everybody has access to the same signals, what is the value of the signal? And like, I even know some buyers who are like, they're like, I don't want to go to websites anymore because like, I don't want to accidentally set off a trigger and be stuck in a fucking like call me, email me, send me ads my way for months, potentially, like sales, marketing, targeting process, right?
Yeah.
And then you're seeing companies like Demo or others pop up who are just like, yeah, just come here and look at the demo. Don't worry about setting off intent signals. Now, I think demo team's great, but like it does set off an intent signal because like, I don't know if you'll realize this, like if you go watch ComStore's demo on Demo, we get an email saying you did it. So it's like, but I think it's just going to rate. It's just, I don't know. I think a lot of buyers are afraid of, tripping a signal incorrectly. Cause like there are some companies where like I hit their website and I'll just get their ad again and again and again, and emails and calls and emails and calls. And you're like, I was just curious what your company did because I saw a news article about you. I'm not a buyer. Please leave me alone. I'm begging you.
I looked at a Monday.com blog post once, and my YouTube adverts for 2 months was yes. I've had ClickUp as well.
Yeah, like I feel like I like scroll past a post about ClickUp, and some of them just like ClickUp is just like in your face. I'm like, no, please leave me alone. I'm begging you.
On that personalization point you made, it's made me think of something, because one thing we're seeing in the world of customer success at the moment is like, you really need to understand the exact problem you're solving for the customer. You have to know the exact outcome they're trying to achieve. You can't say, well, our product did A, B, and C. You have to understand, did the customer achieve their goal? That sounds really obvious, but in the world where, budgets were bigger, you could be a little bit more lackadaisical around that. I think
at the end of the day, it's like personalization doesn't matter if the foundational value isn't there, right? Like,
bingo. Hey, we went to the same college. Okay, 10 years ago, I might have responded to that and gone, cool, like what year were you? Do you know this person?
And it's a great person. They opened with a dino joke. They cleared my profile. Like, they clearly done the research on me. And they were trying to sell me HR software for like 1,000+ person companies. And I was like, this is a great email. I don't know if you used AI or spent time on this, but like, I will never be the buyer for this. Like, the personalization doesn't matter if the value and the timing isn't there. Like, and I saw a great post the other day that was like, they were saying that it was a bit controversial. I can't remember who had said it, but they were saying that they think sellers would be better off spending more time learning business fundamentals than learning more tools. And it's like, well, yeah. And like, I thought there was a comment on that was like, they're like, it's depressing that this is considered a hot take. I was like, yeah, like, this is kind of depressing, right? Like, people in the comments were disagreeing with the guy. Like, no, like, you don't understand, this new tool can really elevate a seller. I'm like, yeah, but if you don't know your ICP and the product you're selling, I don't give a shit what tools you're using. They're not going to help you. And then like, that's whether it's our tool, someone else's tool, like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, I said this on a post the other week where I was like, a good cold email or cold call is better than a warm intro, right? It's like the warm intro is actually not the thing that makes it good. The thing that makes it good is Christian a good fit buyer? And, you know, and I've nailed it.
Yeah.
And then maybe the warm intro is more effective than the cold call. But neither of them is going to be effective if the foundational part isn't good. And Mitchell just asked in the chat, is the converse true? If the solution is spot on, does personalization still matter? I think it can help move the needle a little bit. But I will say, I'd say some of the best cold emails and cold outreach I've ever gotten was just like, oh shit, this actually sounds like a really cool tool. And it was like not personalized at all. It's just like the timing was right. It was interesting, whatever. I would say like that's more important. I mean, I don't think personalization hurts if the rest is good, but I just don't think it's as important as people think it is.
Yeah. I also think it depends on the product too, right? If it's a click and you can buy it, then if you just nail the pain messaging, then you don't need much personalization. Why do we need personalization in sales? Often because I can't, in a 3-line email, be able to describe exactly the pain I solve that is going to completely align with the pain you have. You know, I may have a product that can solve 20 different things. I don't know which one of them is going to hit. So I have to try and sound it out and have you open the door to on a call for us to work together and figure out which of those 20.
Yeah,
super interesting. I could talk about this for a lot longer. I
didn't
didn't realize
personalization. We did an event yesterday with Darren McKee, and he was talking about social selling. He's like, everyone always says don't pitch slap. He's like, I pitch slap all day, every day. I just like I'll open a message on LinkedIn, but it's like, but the good point he made there was that he had earned the right to do that, and he had done so he goes, I'll spend 10 minutes researching an account. I'll pitch slap him, but it's still personalized though. Because I think somewhere along the line, people started thinking that personalization meant I have to become friends with you. Oh, we went to the same school. I saw you like dinosaurs. Oh, we like the same Chinese food. It's like, that's not fucking personalization, right? Like nobody's gonna buy from you because you both order the same shit when you go to a Chinese restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's true, that's totally a funny line to include in a sales email. Like I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but like that's not why they're going to. To me, personalization is showing you have a deep understanding of your buyer and their pain points, and you can speak to those, as you said, right? And Darren's like, he's like, I pitch slap all the time, but I've done research and I know them. And I'm like, that's not a pitch slap then.
Yeah, I suppose you're following up really quickly with connecting with a sales pitch, but it's not okay.
Yeah.
Pitch slapping, I often think is you've got a bot that the moment someone connects with you on LinkedIn, within 5 minutes, this automated message goes out. And it's so obvious when you get those.
And that is,
interesting.
That is a pitch slap. But I think there's also a thing that's interesting. At the end of the day, like, do what works for you, right? Like, sales advice is kind of bullshit anyways, because it's like, what's the industry? What's the title? What's the product? Like advice for how to sell, $1 million a year worth of refrigerators is not the same as how to sell HR software. Like some bits and pieces will be the same, but it's like my least favorite, and this thing a lot, because there's a lot of LinkedIn post types that I really, really fucking hate.
Yeah.
My least favorite is, though I haven't seen it in a while, so maybe it's died out, but for a while, like 6 months ago, constantly you would see posts like, I've never seen a seller miss quota when they use this follow-up template or when they use this cold call template. It was like, first off, bullshit. Like, fuck off, get your engagement bait out of here. Shut the fuck up, basically, right? But it was like, that's just, in what industry, in what context? Like it's so surface level, it doesn't mean anything anymore. All right. Yeah. I mean, so Mitchell said, do what works for you, but what if I don't know what works for you? Experiment. I think people are so obsessed with trying to find a quick hack and a silver bullet. And this is why post sharing tactics and hacks work so well from an engagement perspective, because people want that. They so badly in their bones want to be like, oh, Christian said, if I send cold emails like this, I will hit quota. Yeah. And you're like, and it's true. You see posts like that, and a very small part of you is like, man, can you imagine if that was awesome? Like, can you imagine if that actually worked? Like, that would be incredible, right? So then they just follow the templates, the tricks, the quick hacks, and they never spend time experimenting or trying their own things or learning what works for them. So I don't know. It's like, you can take the advice, you can take the templates as a starting point, but until you figure out what works for you and you deeply understand your buyer, you're never really going to know what works.
Yeah, I totally agree. And this actually brings on to the next point nicely, which is kind of updates to Comsor's own go-to-market approach. Are we ready to announce the changes yet?
We'll do that next week or in 2 weeks or whenever it is.
Okay, love it.
We'll do that at Inbound in 2 weeks.
Yes. Okay, perfect. That brings us on to the next topic. We're at Inbound in 2 weeks. If anyone's going to be in Boston, give us a shout. We are going to be inside the Superhood section. You can find
admin
center. That's right. Just as you come in, I think we're second on the left, and both Mac and I will be there. And Mac, what is the challenge we've got set up this year?
Utah.
The spice.
With 2 technically. We're bringing hot intros back.
Nice. Yeah. So, if people have seen our content on
YouTube,
different
form, but it'll be shorter form. So it's 1 spicy food, not 5, which is also hopefully better for my stomach, so I don't have to match you.
How many wings last time?
130-ish, 128, I want to say it was, over the course of like a day and a half. At the end of the day, actually, the spiciness wasn't the issue, because I think my mouth, after like the 3rd session, I was like, I just can't feel my mouth anymore, to be honest. The amount of wings, like the stomach pain from the food volume, was more damaging than the spiciness, or at least that's what it felt like.
Are all of the videos out from that now? Do we still have a couple more?
They're all on our YouTube channel, so you can watch Morgan Ingram and I'm totally blanking everyone else who did it. I'm sorry. I can't remember who else did it. Katrina probably will be in the chat being like, damn it, Mac, this person and this person and this person, because she'll know all of them off the top of her head. But
awesome.
I don't remember.
We have to get Raina to create a YouTube playlist of them that's in the order in which you did it, because I want to see the transition of you throughout the wings.
I think you can really tell.
Bring in high energy. I love it.
Like I mean, I like spicy food, to be fair. Like I think I handle spicy food better than most people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we also toned it down. Yeah, Melissa Moody, Amelia Taylor. There goes Katrina's naming guests in the chat, because she remembers when I know. It's the end of the week. It's Friday. It's the afternoon here. I feel like small break should be given. But yeah, we're bringing it back. So the idea is going to be you come have a very, very spicy. It's our Lost Lead sauce. So it's the spiciest of all of our custom hot sauces. It's called the Lost Lead because it's as painful as losing a lead. It's this like black and red, very evil looking bottle.
I love it. I saw the design yesterday. It looks great.
Yeah, it's not, there's like ghosts in it and like dead dinosaurs and fire and an erupting volcano. It's very, very thematic. But the whole theme is you come by our booth and you're going to have a chip with a dab of this on it, just because we're also doing that instead of wings, because folks complained saying the most annoying part was actually wings getting cold. That was more annoying than the spiciness. So instead of hot wings next time, we'll do cold wings and really piss people off. So it's a chip with the Lost Lead on it. You eat that, and then we're going to ask people for their spiciest or hottest tip or trick that they think sales, marketing, CS teams are not doing enough of in 2024 and beyond. So it's like instead of hot takes, it's your hottest tip. So we figured we wanted to make the content a bit more productive this time, rather than like hot take. I don't know, the world has enough of hot takes, and let's be honest, 9 times out of 10 when someone says warning, hot take, the thing that follows is the most lukewarm take in the history of takes.
Correct. I completely agree with you.
Stop agreeing with me. Come on, let's argue here a little bit.
Well, that's how we grow as well. Like, disagreement is how you actually encounter new ideas. If everyone just goes, yeah, that sounds good, you're like, okay, like, well,
that's always the worst when you're on like a podcast and the host is just like, oh, I totally agree with you. And you're like, yeah, but I literally listened to one of your episodes before this and you were agreeing with someone who was saying the opposite of me. That's like, just, I don't know. I feel like, yes, like, I know we're very different than a podcast here, but I feel like people need to push back more.
Yeah, definitely.
Kenny said it's a CSM. It's a customer spice manager.
I mean, that's quite accurate. I like that a lot. The last topic then, in relation to best tips that people can give out. We had the forecastable event yesterday. You spoke about how to build a sustainable business. If you were to give one tip, kind of from the takeaway of that talk, what would it be?
I actually think it's kind of funny. It's the same thing I said earlier for Mitchell's question of like, make sure you're finding room to experiment and learn and try new things. I think especially as you were saying earlier, like from a product and a feature perspective, stuff evolves quicker and quicker. At least that's what it feels like. I don't know if that's just us imagining it because we're getting older and time marches ever onwards. Kind of brings us back to the beginning of this show. But yeah, I think it's like you gotta experiment and figure things out, not be afraid to try new things. I think most businesses, GTM teams, would do better on a 12+ month time frame if they took 10-15% of their time and budget and just tried something different, experimented, learned, iterated. Like, I mean, it's like we do that at ComStore a lot, and half the time it falls flat. Actually, I don't know. We're a third of the time it falls flat. I'd say more often than not, the ideas work out, but they definitely don't always work out, right? And a lot of the ideas that people look at that they're like, wow, ComStore, you did such a good job with this or that or this event or your website. It's like, yeah, and that's the third or fourth or fifth or 10th iteration of the thing, right? It's like no one sees the work behind it, but you don't get to those moments if you don't try stuff. I think it also it's a mindset shift primarily.
Yeah, and I think I love what you're saying. I think one of the reasons we struggle to see that is I think sales leaders and marketing leaders find it easy to experiment when the sun shines, but the moment you might miss quota, or you have already missed quota one quarter, often you just see the experimentation end, and arguably that's when you most need to experiment, because you probably missed because you're getting diminishing returns on what you are consistently doing.
I always love the example of like a lot of the biggest companies that came out of the 2008-2009 financial crisis are the ones that tried new things. Airbnb, Uber, etc. Love them or hate them, they were the ones who pushed forward instead of stepping back.
Love it. I mean, we can end on, I think, that fantastic point. You're not with us next week. You're already going to be in the US. I'll have a guest hosting with me next week. And then 2 weeks after that, not yet, to be confirmed. So that will come out.
Oh, so you know, and you don't want to confirm till Monday, or you don't know yet, so you can't share?
I can't share. I've got a couple of people that I'm chatting to at the moment.
Okay. I don't even know what's going on in my own company. What is this?
But the week after that, we're going to be in Boston for Inbound, and we're planning to be
do the show live,
streaming live from there. So if you want to see people eat some, what was the name of the sauce again? Lost Lead.
The Lost Lead. Yeah.
Adding the in front also just adds a bit of weight to it.
It's we'll post a preview of it. I think Ben just did a taste test for us of it and did a video of himself. So I think he's going to post that as like a way of like promoting that it's happening at the event. And if Ben, if you're still in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you not enjoy eating that hot sauce? We gave him 3 sauces to test. So he ate all 3.
That's cruel.
To me, he volunteered. I just want to make it very clear.
Okay.
I did not require him to do it. He volunteered for it. And also, if anybody there is like, I'm not going to do it unless Mac will do it, I'll do it at the same time as you. So, and I will just have my secret bottle on the side with the same label on it, but it's like not a spicy. No, I'm just kidding. It'll be the same sauce, same bottle. Don't worry about it.
Gallon of milk. You'll be fine. Awesome. Everyone at home, thanks so much for joining this week. If you've got any questions, feel free to get in touch. You can find out more about ComStore on our YouTube channel, where you can also find this recording. Of course, on LinkedIn. I've got many of my brilliant colleagues in the chat as well. So if you know any of us, feel free to connect. If you don't know any of us, feel free to connect. Would love to help you build more warm relationships, to find warm intros to those accounts that you've been going after. Any questions, get in touch. But otherwise, Mac, lovely chatting with you as always. And yeah, well, I'll see you in my next meeting with you today, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll see you in like